Hello, this is Chetan Narula reporting for Cricket World, and my current station is Pune, which is the venue of the first test match between India and Australia. This is the start of a new series, the start of the last series in this long home season for India. They've played New Zealand, they've played England, they've played Bangladesh. They've beaten all three of them. They're unbeaten in 19 test matches, 6 back-to-back test series victories for India, and they are obviously the #1 ranked side in the world. Challenging them will be Steve Smith's Australia, who've had a bit of a patchy form in test cricket in the last 1 year or so. They lost 3-0 in Sri Lanka, lost their #1 ranking, lost to South Africa at home, beat Pakistan, and since then they have had an eye on this tour. They want to prove that the Sri Lankan tour was a bit of an anomaly for them. The result there against the spinners, but it will not be an easy task faced with the likes of Ravichandran Ashwin and Ravindra Jadeja, and who are backed up by the likes of Ishant Sharma, Umesh Yadav and Bhuvneshwar Kumar, and not to mention we also have Virat Kohli in prime form. Now, talking about India, as I mentioned before, they've won 6 back-to-back series, test series that is, and they are also unbeaten in 19 test matches. They'll be keen to continue this run of form against Australia as well. They cannot be caught, even if they lose the series by a handsome margin. They cannot be caught in terms of the ranking, but the chances of them losing the series against Australia, I would say they are bleak at best. But for India, anything can happen in cricket. So they really do need to continue the good form that they have been showing against New Zealand and against England. Mind you, New Zealand and England both were good sides, strong sides, decent sides, and they did challenge India quite a fair bit, especially England in the first 2 test matches in Rajkot and Visakhapatnam. But India did really trample on the opposition in those last 3 test series to come out on top. And it will be a challenge again for Australia to see if they can really turn the tables. It's really all very settled for India at the moment. Settled batting lineup, settled bowling combination. Virat Kohli has a plethora of options to choose from, almost 2 players for each position for Virat Kohli to choose from whenever he's picking a side ahead of the toss. So it's a really happy place for a captain to be in, all players in good form, and quite a few options to choose from. For Australia, obviously the mix-up will be between achieving a balance between their pace and spin options, whether they want to play 2 spinners, 2 pacers all the time. Mitchell Marsh, he's an all-rounder, so can he bring the balance to the 11, something like what Ravichandran Ashwin does for India, batting at #6 at times, or what Ben Stokes did for England in that last test series. Even then, it will be tough for Australia, because playing in these conditions against quality spin bowling will always be a challenge, especially given how they performed in Sri Lanka. So who are the key players for India and Australia? Obviously, this series has been built up as Virat Kohli versus Steve Smith. Remember, these two were going blow for blow in the 2014-15 series, which was played in Australia. Both of them got, I think Virat got almost 700 runs, and Smith got close to 850 odd runs in those 4 tests. So once again, it will be between Virat and Steve Smith to show who is the better batsman and who wants to come out on top. And this time, it's also about captaincy. Back in 2014, between them, it was they were just coming out of a transitional phase. MS Dhoni handed the reins to Virat Kohli, and Michael Clarke was handing the reins to Steve Smith. And so it was a transitional phase for them, but right now they're both stable in their captaincy, and it is about proving a point to the opposition and coming out on top. Now, it's not just about Virat and Steve Smith. It's also about who can play the support role. For India, obviously, it'll be Cheteshwar Pujara, who's been in good form both against New Zealand and England, and he also scored runs against Bangladesh. As also Ravichandran Ashwin, he is the #1 spinner. He is the #1 all-rounder in Test cricket, in world cricket at the moment. So these two will obviously play a tremendous support role for India. On the other hand, you have David Warner, who's also stepped up from that 2014 series, and his average has gone a bit higher than his career average. If we see the test series from 2014 onwards to at present, his average has gone a little higher than his career average, but also Mitchell Starc. The big question is about Mitchell Starc. Obviously, you want to play spinners in India, but again, Mitchell Starc, the aggressive fast bowler, will be key for Australia. Can he stay fit for all the 4 test matches? That will be absolutely important for Australia to determine whether they can challenge the might of the Indian batting lineup. Now, I was supposed to get here one day before the match began, but I was stupid enough to miss my flight. I thought it was going to fly at 7 a.m, leave Delhi at 7 a.m. It was supposed to leave at 5 a.m. So I missed it, and now I'm here. Since I'm talking to you, I can talk to you about day 1 of this series. And Australia won the toss in Pune, the MCA Stadium. You know, this is the first time. You can see at the background, you can see the grandstand there of the MCA Stadium. And it is the first time the test match is being held at this venue, which has only seen ODIs and T20s so far. So Australia on a bone dry wicket, which they thought will be turning from ball 1. And yes, it did, because Australia won the toss, elected to bat first, and then Ravichandran Ashwin was brought on in the second over of the day. But so far, so good for Australia. They put on 40 for no loss in the first hour of play. David Warner and Matt Renshaw put on 80 odd for the first wicket. And then Warner fell, and weirdly enough, Renshaw walked off because of a stomach upset. And that is when Australia became a bit unstuck. Steve Smith and Sean Marsh had a bit of a partnership, but they were very slow. Did not score more than 2 runs per over for about 20 odd overs. Similarly, Peter Hanscom and Smith, again, not really scoring too fluently. And the end result was when Marsh, Smith and Peter Hanscom getting out in quick succession, losing 3 wickets after lunch, before tea, that is. In the second session of the day, they lost 3 wickets in that middle session to hand the advantage back to India. So the score for the score at tea time, 159 odd for 4 wickets, Australia. Matt Renshaw was back at the crease, overcoming his stomach infection, and back at the crease, batting with Mitchell Marsh. But it's all to play for here in Pune on a bone dry wicket, where Australia are playing 2 pacers, 2 spinners, and they are batting first. They need to put on a respectable total, somewhere close to around 300, to put any sort of pressure on India. Remember, on a dry wicket, which will be turning, you know, it'll be a raging turner in the 4th innings. 300 runs will be absolutely worth their weight in gold. I'll bring you more updates as the match progresses, and indeed as the series progresses. For the moment, it's Chetan Narula signing off from Pune.